Hey everybody, welcome back to Chess Crafters. Today we're going to take a look at a composition by Mario Matous, and let me tell you, it's the craziest puzzle I've ever seen. I know you guys hear that a lot at this point, but believe me, if you guys manage to find a more difficult puzzle than this, please leave it in the comments and I will delete this video from YouTube. I mean it. Now, even Stockfish could not solve this puzzle. So just a hint, we actually used not one, not two, but three under promotions in this one. So let's jump right into it. Alright, so take a look at the board in front of you. It's White's turn to play, and even though he's down quite a bit of material, we see that he's got two pawns just about ready to promote, the B pawn and the E pawn over here. Now, we're going to use those two pawns to eventually win this game. So, which pawn do you guys think should be promoted first? Now, if we try to promote this B pawn over here, this is going to end up in a checkmate in 9 moves, because Black can take the E pawn with check, King to G4, which is the only available move after that, and after D2, White can't stop that pawn from promoting. Now, notice his queen is stuck, and wherever he would move, he would be captured by Black's queen. Even if he forces an exchange on D6, Black's pawn is unfortunately faster. So we could see right off the bat that the B pawn is a no-go, meaning that we have to obviously promote this E pawn first. And this is kind of where the beauty of this puzzle really begins, because if White promotes to a queen, it's actually going to end up being a blunder. It allows Black a forced checkmate with this beautiful queen to C5 move. Now, threatening queen to G1, check, and we observe how White's king is cornered with only one move available to escape to H4. Even if White promotes to another queen, all his pieces are misplaced. His queens can't come to help, and we're going to see how that F4 is more of a liability than a resource. Now, pawn promotes to queen moves to G1, check, king to H4, queen to H2, G4, queen to H5, then to G3, moves to H2, and H4, checkmate. Now, White has no real defense here. Pawn to H6 is a check, the rook takes, and even if he would sacrifice his queen, he's only just going to buy himself a few more moves, because even if White manages to capture the bishop and the rook, the checkmate is still unfortunately unstoppable. Queen moves to F8, G5, and Black is going to push his D pawn like so, making another queen. Now, the key to solving this puzzle is to take advantage of Black's positioning. Even if he has so much more material, with the correct play, he wouldn't be able to use any of his pieces. The bishop is stuck with only the H7 move, the rook has only 2 squares available, and the queen is cut off completely from the action. So, can you take a look and see White's first brilliant move here? Now remember that I said we use 3 under promotions in this puzzle, and here we have the first, with pawn to E8 promoting to a knight, putting Black's king in check right away. Now if he would move to F8, this is going to lead to a forced checkmate in only 6 moves. The B pawn promotes to a queen, and now Black does not have the brilliant defense of queen to C5 because this time it's going to be 1 move too late. Knight to F6, making a discovery check, and if king moves to E7, queen to E8 is then going to be a checkmate. And if king moves to G7, pawn moves to H6, the rook is forced to take, and again, queen to G1, checkmate. Now as a result, Black's really got to move to H7. Again, we got to be careful not to get greedy here, because if we promote to a queen right now, we're going to throw away the little advantage we just created. After queen moves to F8, the game is going to become equal. White's best move here is to make a 3-fold repetition with knight to F6 and E8. He can't trade queens because he can't catch that D pawn. Now once again, we really got to take advantage of positioning here. So instead of promoting this B pawn, we're going to push the H6 pawn. With this move, White is threatening a knight to F6 checkmate. Black's only defense against this is queen to E7, check, preparing to give his life for his king's safety. Now, knight to F6 blocks the check with another check, the queen takes, and now White is going to have to take back with the king, not with his pawn. Now, even if at first glance he just sacrificed his H pawn, in reality, Black can't take that pawn because the white pawn is closer to promotion than the black pawn. So, if the king takes the pawn, White will promote to a queen, and due to his pieces being stuck, Black's only move is to move his king to H5. King moves to G7, and then rook moves to H6, and this is going to end in white's favor eventually. But the black player is a little smarter than that. He's not going to fall for this. Instead, he's going to push his own. White promotes, black promotes, so now what? We made all that progress essentially for nothing. Black still ended up promoting to a queen, and the position still looks awfully bad for white. Still down a rook and a bishop, but now without any pawn ready to promote. Now, is this puzzle really impossible for white to win? Because even Stockfish says it's a dead draw. But I wouldn't give up so quickly. Now, I told you this puzzle's something else, and the key element here for white is to play moves that are going to force black to respond immediately. Now, as we saw with the previous underpromotion to a knight, threatening checkmate on f6. So, what forcing move does white have to play here? Pause the video right now if you want to try and figure it out on your own. If not, let's move forward. I can tell you that the move is queen to f8. Now, threatens queen to g7 checkmate. Once again, the only defense for black is queen to g1. After queen to g7 check, white manages to capture black's queen, and again, we see this forcing pattern continue. Now, black can't move his king because he's got to defend that rook and not let it fall with the pawn take, while also promoting to a queen. So, the other legal move for black is pawn to b5. Now, if I had to describe this puzzle with two concepts, it would be first, force black to make the moves that you desire, and second, do not be greedy. Because from this position, you might think, hey, I can take the rook with a check, and after that, I can capture that pawn. Seems like a good plan, getting rid of another major piece. But this pawn capture is only going to lead to a draw. Now, why, you might ask? Let me show you. Pawn captures rook, king captures back, pawn takes on b5. We can now see a race towards promotion, and even if white manages to promote first, he doesn't have any direct threats. He could try to move to f8, threatening g7 checkmate, but black is going to respond with g1. Queen to h6 check doesn't do anything because black bishop could just intervene and the position is going to become equal. Again, Stockfish does not see the win. Stockfish insists that this puzzle ends in a draw. It's pretty interesting because all the moves that we're playing are the ones suggested by the engine and they're all forcing moves, but it doesn't see the actual winning result yet. So, white is not being greedy and it captures the b pawn instead. We see again a pawn race with white finishing first to the finish line, but it doesn't promote to a queen. No, no, no. We're going to use that second under promotion to promote to a knight once again. Now, for the first time, Stockfish can finally see that white is going to win. It took 12 moves into this puzzle for the engine to realize what's actually happening here. So black promotes to a queen, and I'm wondering if you guys can see why it was so important not to capture that rook first. Take a couple seconds, analyze the board, and try and see that reason. White plays knight to d7, threatening a knight f8 check. So, why is that move so devastating for white? It's so powerful because the king's only available square is h6, though allowing white to capture the rook with promotion next turn, and white is going to be completely on the winning side now. If first we captured the rook, and only after that the b pawn, this under promotion to a knight would not work anymore, because white would no longer have this threat. So again, black is forced to respond to that threat immediately, and the only way to do that is to again sacrifice his queen. Now, either queen to a3 or queen to a8. Black has sacrificed his queen 3 times in this game already. Let's say he plays queen to a8. Knight to f8 is a check, queen captures, and you're probably thinking that's it, white has finally won the game. But think again, because you just might blunder it at the very end by promoting to a queen, which would lead to a stalemate. Now I'm going to let you think about what white's last under promotion should be. See if you can find it first. Alright, now this time we're actually not going to under promote to a knight. We're going to under promote to a rook. But wait, the puzzle does not end here. Now as you might notice, white is still at a disadvantage, at least material-wise, because positionally, he only has one move available, which is h6. Now once more, white is going to take advantage of this setup. And how could he possibly do that? Now, if we look closely, we could see that if we had our rook on the first or second file, this would lead to a checkmate. So white's got to maneuver that rook to reach one of those places. Basically, without e8, all moves are going to lead to the same result. So for the sake of argument, we're going to play rook to d8. Now, to reiterate the main themes of this puzzle, black is once again forced to move his king down the road to escape from another checkmate. Now, he doesn't have time to move his rook because after rook to d2, checkmate is inevitable. We see what a great job this f3 pawn does. It cuts off that escape square on g4, so if the king goes to h5, he's still going to get a checkmate. So, king to h5 from black. And now again, we can't rush things and go with the same plan, playing rook to d2, thinking, even if the king goes down one square, he can escape on g3, I'll still be able to collect his rook. But black wouldn't play that. Black is going to play rook to h6, check, and after king to g7, attacking the bishop. Now rook to g6 does an excellent job of kicking the king out of there while also protecting the bishop. And here the game is pretty much equal, even if black is up one bishop. Now after the black king moves to h5, white has this extraordinary move that is king to g7. It attacks both the rook and the bishop. And after this move, it's basically game over for black, no matter how he defends. If you defend with rook to h6, then the white rook is going to capture on g8. Rook to g6, check, king to f7, rook trades, and the black king is cut off from attacking the pawn. Okay, now instead, if you defend with rook to h7, check, the best move in this position, the king captures the bishop. And even if black tries to corner white's king by playing king to g6, white is simply going to respond with pawn to f5, forcing the pawn to take. And rook to d6, check, leaving the black rook undefended. Now another possible move for black is king to h6, but again, this is only just a slower death essentially. Rook moves to d7, then rook to g7, check, king moves to h8, rook to h7, the pawn captures, king to g6, and it's completely winning for white. I really hope I didn't oversell this puzzle because I really loved figuring this one out. It's something else. Now, after seeing it in action, I hope you're going to believe me that this one is honestly the most difficult one I've ever seen. Now, I'm going to play this puzzle once again from start to finish so you can actually see the evaluation bar in action and see how Stockfish did not manage to find the solution until the 12th move. I hope you're just as fascinated by this as I am. Thanks for watching.